Hey Metal Maniacs, this is Frans of Suicide Attack from the Netherlands, and you're trashing it up on Dave Softees Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio.
Down. Alrighty, Metal Maniacs, here we go. Please help me welcome to Metal Messiah Radio. Hailing from the Netherlands, from thrash metalers Suicide Attack, joining us we have vocalist and guitarist Frans Swaters. Welcome to the Metal Meltdown, Frans. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for taking the time to be here that we could talk about your brand new release. And I would love for you to share with us some of the band's history, like when the band formed and how Suicide Attack got its name, and all we can learn about your band and the story behind it. I know we have some, relatively bad news, but as they say, at the end of the road is always a silver lining, and we're looking for the silver lining throughout this
Yeah,
interview. You know.
cool. Well, thank you, Dave, for the support and for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Well, actually, Brother Joker actually told me about your music. He says, Dave, I've just heard this really great thrash metal band from Netherlands. I go, oh, really? Who are they? And he told me Suicide Attack. I says, really? I never heard of it. So I went on YouTube and
Yeah,
I heard your music. I'm like, oh, damn, you're right. This is kick-ass thrash metal. Let me see if I can get an interview. So, I went on the Metal Archives and it said that the band split up. And I'm like, wait a second, let me check with the band, because not always is the Metal Archives correct or accurate. So you answered me back and you said, yeah, the band had split up, but I really feel your music is really great and deserves support. And I'm thinking that if we could get enough support for your band and your music, even though it's split up, there may be a chance that the band does reform at some point. And even if it doesn't, I know you're going to be working on new music, so I want the world to get to know who you are, so that when we have you come back with your new band or whatever you decide to do, we'll have more interviews with you. So let's talk about the history of Suicide Attack and what led to the offering No More Room in Hell, and what actually led to the split up, if we can.
okay. Yeah, sure. Well, we formed about 7 years ago. I was working with my old band Stigma for over 15 years, and was really an underground extreme thrash metal band. Um, Very fast, very aggressive, not much melody. But after 15 years, a lot of lineup changes, and it didn't really go anywhere. So I was kind of bummed out about that. Uh, I decided to end the band there and to start a new band, to start fresh. But I noticed that my music that I wrote was changing. It became less aggressive, more melody, more catchy thrash metal. And so I wanted to continue that path. And so I decided to lay Stigma to rest and start a new band. And at that point, I wrote a new song, and I didn't have any lyrics for it, but I already had this one line for the chorus, and that was "Suicide Attack," and I really liked that. And it was like, okay, that song will be called "Suicide Attack." So when I came up with the idea to start a new band, that was the song that I just wrote, and I really liked the title, Suicide Attack, and I thought, well, that's a good name for a thrash metal band. It feels really natural to put that in line with Nuclear Assault, Dark Angel, Suicide Attack.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah. So
It
that's
works.
that's how we picked the name. Later on, we had some discussions like, okay, is it really a good name? Who is going to wear a shirt with Suicide Attack on it with all the recent terrorist attacks? And yeah, there's
Yeah,
something to say about that as well. But
yeah, that's a good
maybe,
point. But you give anybody
and
an opportunity to say anything, they're going to say something.
yeah. So we made the first EP really like, okay, it's about kamikaze. It's about the Japanese suicide attacks. It's not. Uh, so we wanted to make that point, but yeah. So we started out a suicide attack, and actually with my old guitar player from Stigma, and we found our new drummer very fast, Jordi Soethout. I knew him from other local bands, and well, very talented guy and an amazing drummer. So I really wanted him in the band, and I felt the need to have a band with a really good drummer, and he delivered. So that's how we started with the three of us. We had some trouble finding a bass player, but after a while we found Paul van Zon. I actually played with him in another band, Extinction. But he couldn't play bass anymore. He had to stop because his arm wasn't working as it should be. But I saw that he picked up the bass again, so I invited him over. And that was the first lineup of Suicide Attack. It lasted 2 whole rehearsals. And then the other guitar player, he decided to quit. But then we found a new guitar player in Eelco Klis. Which I knew a couple of years. A great guy, really good rhythm guitar player, lots of humor. Fun fact, he's blind.
Blind, wow.
Yeah, he is blind, but he plays very, very well. And on a personal level, we clicked right away. So he came in the band, and that was quite a steady lineup we had. And yeah, that was when we first started doing gigs. Actually, the couple of first gigs was with Neil Turbin, the old singer from Anthrax.
You had him in the band? Yeah.
No, we didn't have him in the band, but we were his supporting act. He did
okay, I got you now.
Yeah, he did a mini tour with his band Death Riders, and he had a Dutch band assembled for that tour. And we knew some guys, and they asked if we wanted to be their support act. So that was cool. Like basically the first couple of shows, we were the support act for Neil Turbin. So that was cool. But yeah, there was quite a steady lineup, and we also recorded an EP of 4 songs with that lineup. That's called "Prepare the Attack." So yeah.
And that came out in 2015. That came out, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's quite a while ago, and it showed what Suicide Attack was about. The fast stuff, the aggressive stuff, but also the catchy and the melodic stuff. So after that, we hoped we could do a lot of shows, but yeah, it was a bit disappointing to find the right gigs. And the situation with our bass player Paul, it wasn't working anymore.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so we decided to go on without him. But we were already planning on No More Room in Hell, and I guess that was about 2016, 2017. We were already planning about No More Room in Hell, and I actually already had the artwork for No More Room in Hell, the new record. And it had Paul drawn into it. And Paul is a guy with long, curly hair. And our new bass player, Stefan Rijnsburger, he was a bald guy. So I asked the guy who drew the artwork if he could replace the bass player with a bald guy, and he did. So, yeah, so that was a new lineup, and that was quite steady for a while as well, with me on vocals and guitar, Eelco on guitar and backing vocals, Jordi on drums, and Stefan on bass. And with that lineup, we recorded No More Room in Hell, the record which came out a couple of weeks ago.
Right, and so this music actually was really ready like 3 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And what was the obstacles that you had in actually getting this music out?
When we started recording, we first started recording the drums, and that was recorded in 2 days in the studio.
That's quick.
Yeah, that's very quick. And cool thing is on the records there are no triggers, there are no plugins or something, or it's pure the real drum sound that you hear.
I got you.
Yeah. So he did a really good job on that, and that in 2 days. So that's impressive. But after that, yeah, we had to record the guitars and the bass. So we wanted to do that at my home um, and well, I had the guitars recorded pretty quickly, the rhythm guitars, um, but then Ilko had to do his parts. But he's a blind guy, and he had a nasty accident. His fingers were caught between the doors of the car.
Ouch.
Yeah, so someone slammed the door while he still had his hand between it. So he was out for a couple of months. He
I
couldn't play guitar.
I see.
So that really sucked. So that delayed the whole process. And after that, we had to get like started again. But when we did start, there was another problem because Ilko and I were both in nature rhythm guitar players, but we wanted to have lead solos on it. And we basically had to learn ourselves how to play solo guitar. And so it took us quite some time to get it right.
I understand.
But it was a very cool process because we learned a lot as musicians during that time. So that's cool. And we wanted it to be, really right. We didn't want to do half work. So that took some time. After that, we went into the studio, and a good friend Erik Bik, he has a studio, and he recorded the drums, and he would re-amplify the guitars in his studio, and he would mix it and record the vocals. But he had a very difficult time in his personal life, so that didn't went as fast as we would have hoped. So yeah, that was another delay. But when we were working on it, it was also a very kick-ass experience because it was a lot of fun mixing a whole record with him and doing the vocals and doing all these different techniques that I'd never done before. So we experimented quite a lot with it, and we put a lot of work in the whole thing because we really wanted it to sound big and modern. But we had this vision like no triggers, no plugins. It has to be real. So that takes more time than just start up Cubase and get a plugin and get Drum Kit from Hell to replace the bass drums.
It was a life learning experience for you, it sounds like.
Yeah. It was. It definitely was. We learned a lot of things, and I really enjoyed the whole process. But when the process went on, it became clear that we had something very good in our hands. Like, okay, well, this is better than we expected, and everyone who heard it, they were very enthusiastic about it, and there were at some point some people like, oh, you have to do more with this,
Yes.
You have to think bigger, and you have to get a record company, or you have to get like a big management, and you have to do big shows. And well, we got a bit caught up in that, and that's what, every time we had something like, okay, so we have to do like a really big release show, and we have to do a really big video, and but every time, that led nowhere because we didn't have that experience and we couldn't find the right people for it.
I see.
So,
And did you find it overwhelming to have all this ahead of you, what you needed to do? It sounds to me like you found it overwhelming.
Yeah, it was. It was. And none of us had any clue about how to do that. And that's when also we started to notice that, we had different views about where the band should go. I really wanted to play a lot and have a good time, and I don't care about how much money. But other members, they found that very important. Someone else found it more important to have things taken really good care of, and so there were quite a bit of a difference between the members. Started to grow, and that became the downfall of it all.
I'm starting to understand. Yeah, I really am starting to understand. As I said, before, we are all loving this release, and like knowing that the band has decided to call it quits. this is very sad, but I feel that the music deserves to be supported, and that's the reason why we're here talking about it. So I'm hearing you, and I'm feeling really, sad for you and the band. But I still have hopes that at some point everything can get worked out and you guys can reconcile and continue. But even if you don't, I do know that you're going to do well on whatever you do beyond this. And we'll be right back here talking about it, whatever you decide to do, whatever kind of band you're doing, and stuff like that. But Suicide Attack definitely deserves support. So I really appreciate you coming on the show, that you could tell us about how well, what led to the band splitting up and all that. Because it sounds to
Yeah,
me like you've put a lot of time and energy for years into this band, and
yeah,
to see it just disappear in front of your eyes, it's gotta
yeah.
hurt. It's gotta hurt.
Yeah, it does. There was a period that our bass player Stefan, he left the band. He couldn't take the pressure, I guess, of all the responsibilities, and he had a lot of stuff in his personal life that was going on at that moment. So he decided to leave the band, and then we had that as well, another lineup change. Luckily, we found a new bass player in the brother of Ilko, Bauke. Um, and he came in the band, and we hope like he's going to bring fresh blood into the band and get us motivated again. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to get gigs. It's hard to get um, support from booking agencies and that kind of stuff. And yeah, you all have to do it yourself, and that yeah, it, it's tiring
And
and,
overwhelming. I could definitely hear
and
that.
overwhelming.
Yeah, I
And
could hear
like the
that.
feeling that yeah, we got something great in our hands, but we don't know how to get it out there, and we want to do it well, but everything we come up with is not so good. So it frustrates, and
I could hear that. Yeah, and Suicide Attack, this new offering came out 2020,
yeah,
2020, just a few weeks ago.
yeah,
But when did the band decide to split up? Was it before the release or just after the release? What was the time frame of
before
that?
before the release.
Yeah,
Actually, the last year, the record was pretty much recorded and mixed and mastered, but like the motivation was gone.
I see.
Um,
That's sad.
yeah, and we tried to work it out, but because of the pressure, the differences that became apparent, they only grew bigger. So we couldn't fix it anymore. There was also some difficult issues in my personal life that required my attention more than the band, which led to less motivation with the other band members. So yeah, a couple of months ago we came together and it was like, okay, what are we going to do now? Are we going to keep on trying and get mad at mad at each other, or shall we just release this thing and be proud of it? Hope for the best that a lot of people will hear it and as a legacy and move on. Uh, and that's basically what we did.
Yeah,
And
this
that's what
music,
we decided.
yeah,
Yeah,
this band, this music is definitely something to be proud of. But the unfortunate thing is that you're just getting the ball rolling, really, and just before
yeah.
you get started, it's over because I need to know, and I doubt you had any chance to do this, but you really could not get out there to perform if the band was deciding on calling it quits. I would imagine you weren't able to support this offering at all. And
Yeah.
what about merch? Were you able to get any kind of merch ready for the fans, or what was that like for you?
No, well, we like 2 years ago we made T-shirts, uh, and we had a lot of them. We still do, but yeah, well, like I said earlier, no one wants to walk around with a shirt that says Suicide Attack.
I would definitely wear one proudly.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Where would I find that? Would that be at your website, Suicide Dash?
no, no, we don't have on it, but if you go to our Facebook and
Okay,
send us a message, I got a shitload of shirts at my home, so I
okay,
can send it. Yeah, yeah, we can work out a deal. That's
okay.
no, but yeah, that so we had the shirts, but the whole process in coming up with merch for the No More Room in Hell, it was basically decided, okay, we're gonna release this record and be proud of it, enjoy the reactions, but it's also going to be our last offering. So that was clear from the start when we put it online. The funny thing is that we were like so caught up with we have to promote this really well and we have to do so well and we have to think big and everything that made it so hard on us, and which is a factor why the band dissolved. Now we released the record. We did little promotion for it. We didn't do a release show or something, but actually the reactions are much more than what we expected. So that's very cool. It's like, yeah, you're playing our music on the radio show, and that feels cool. People from around the world, letting us know that they enjoy the music. So it's very cool. That has happened, and a bit unexpected, maybe.
Yeah, I guess that you would say that because if you thought it would be the way it is, maybe you would have worked it out. But do you actually have the CDs available or digital files? How could the fans of Suicide Attack, even though the band has decided to quit, when they want your music, I mean, are there any other ways they could get your music rather than just listening to it on YouTube?
Yeah, well, it's only digitally available, so it's for free on Spotify, YouTube, but you can also buy it with iTunes, I believe, and Amazon, but only digital. So there's no physical release for it, and that's because
that's
split up. Because when you invest money into it, we a couple of years ago we talked about we really want to have vinyl, and you got to invest a lot of money into that, and to get it all back, the money, you got to play shows.
That, or you get a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter program where your fans could help support you and getting the funds you need to get that done.
Yeah. But you have to be a bit savvy about the new social media.
Yes. You have to put yourself out
guys,
there. Yeah, I got
you. We are four guys that have nothing with social media. So where do you find the connections and where do you find the following? And that's hard.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I feel for you. It's very difficult if you don't have what you need to do it. So it's very sad. Well, I want to get back to the cover art for No More Room in Hell. You had started talking about, during the interview, you had mentioned about you had basically the CD artwork before the release, maybe a year or so ahead of time, and then you changed the bass player and you had the designer change the bass player's wild hair into a bald head and all that. But who did the actual artwork? I might have missed that.
Okay, the artwork was done by Ammar Al-Shalabi. He's a cartoon artist from the Netherlands. He used to play in a lot of local metal bands, play guitar. So that's how I got to know him. And we were still friends on Facebook, and I saw these drawings coming by from him, and I was impressed by his work. And I had this idea, the idea for the album title I had for a very long time. I'm a big fan of Dawn of the Dead. So No More Room in Hell is a quote from that movie. And I imagined, zombies. I wanted zombies on the cover, and I wanted to be a drawing. So I approached Ammar if he was interested to draw something like that. And I had this idea from, okay, you're seeing through the eyes of the drummer, and you're seeing our silhouettes, and these zombies are coming at us. And he liked the idea, and he worked it out, and I'm very pleased with the artwork. It's cartoony and a drawing, and I really like that. You see the three guitar and bass players. You see us two guitar players and the bass player from the back. You don't actually see the drummer because it's his view, but the drummer is drawn in the crowd as a zombie. So
very interesting.
You can still see him because he was kind of bummed out, like, oh, you can't see me, and I was like, no, we'll draw you in as a zombie. It's gonna be cool.
yeah, but that's the reality. Drummers could barely be seen at these live gigs, So yeah,
but he's seen in the artwork. He's the zombie with the glasses.
Okay,
So
thank you
that's
for
the,
explaining that. Yeah.
yeah, that's the drummer. So yeah, that and it was the very first thing that was ready for this record. That was the first thing. Yeah, we
Yeah.
had already a couple of songs, but nothing was recorded or you know. But the artwork was the first thing.
Very good. Good job on that. So it's really said, like I said, that the band did decide to split up because it sounds to me, from what I'm hearing, you actually had a lot of things going on for you with the release and with the artwork, and hopefully, at some point you guys could reconcile and reform, maybe with a different lineup. But it's a lot of work, and like you said, if you guys are all together and you're not savvy on the social networks and dealing with the people as far as supporting your band, then
Yeah.
maybe it's time to move on like you're doing. Speaking of which, what is next for you as far as a band? I believe before the interview you're telling me that you also have, or you're working on a Type O negative tribute band, so you have that going on for you, which could be, rather successful for you most likely. But beyond that, if you'd like to talk about that, from my understanding, you're going to be working on a entirely new band. If you could tell us something about that, we would love to hear that.
Yeah, well, I have this project in mind, and I really want to work on that. I've got the music laying on a shelf for well a couple of years already, and it's still trashy, but it's very modern. It's a bit industrial influences. It was heavily influenced by Strapping on Lead, and especially the City record, and I'm a big fan of Strapping on Lead, so. It's very aggressive. It's very heavy. It's very fast and dirty and yeah,
I can't
uh,
wait to hear
uh,
that stuff.
yeah. So I really want to work that out, and I've decided that I wanted to release that as a solo project.
Very
You know,
nice.
just me and work it out, and that will be my vision alone, and then I'll unleash it upon the earth. And
I wish you, first of all, I wish you best of success with that, and just know when that music is available and out there, you will be able to come back on Metal Meltdown if you'd like to, and we could talk about that and have a fresh interview for that album.
cool. Yeah, it will be different though. I sent you something, a teaser. But
Yes,
it's very yeah. I'll describe it as cyber thrash metal or something. It's a bit more modern, a bit more industrial, and
and that's fine. I'm just letting you know you will have support for that. You'll have a place to
cool,
talk about your music. It
cool,
doesn't have to be the same. It could be different. Don't worry about it.
cool. I appreciate it.
Of
Yeah,
course.
and maybe in the future I'm open to join a cool band, an existing band in which I can just join as a musician and hopefully can write songs and don't have to be busy with doing working out arranging gigs, or just working on the creative side and doing live shows,
Right.
and maybe even start a new band in the future, a real band. Uh, I don't know, and maybe we'll get together with Suicide Attack. You never know.
Whatever happens, if you get back together with
Whatever.
Suicidal Attack and have more music, or if you
Yeah.
get involved with another band, even if you join another band and you have new music coming out there, if you have three new offerings coming up in the future with three different situations, you'll have three different opportunities to come back and talk about your music. Don't worry about that. That's the last thing you need to worry about.
That's cool. That's cool. And the other guys from Suicide Attack, they're still jamming. They're playing all these old school thrash metal covers from Exodus and Testament, and so maybe they are going to start something new. And who knows?
That's interesting. Yeah, maybe they'll have a tribute band supporting the legends of the Bay Area or something like that.
Yeah, who knows?
That would work.
Yeah,
Now, Franz, would you like to talk about your gear? I think prior to the interview, you were telling me that you did play guitar on Suicide Attack, but I think in your new band you're going to be playing bass.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So we can talk about your guitars and your bass if you like to talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. Um, well, my main instrument is guitar, and like I said, I'm especially a rhythm guitar player first. Uh, but last couple of years, I'm trying to do more solos because, yeah, that's something new, something interesting for me. But I came from the old school James Hetfield, Scott Ian school, where rhythm guitar was the coolest thing. So I mostly play Gibson guitars. I got an Explorer and a Flying V. Uh, so that those are my weapons of choice. But the last guitar I bought was a Jackson Kelly because it had a Floyd Rose, and because I'm quite new in doing solos, I figured, yeah, well, I can cheat with a tremolo. It sounds cool, and it disguises that I suck at solos. So that's why I bought a Jackson with a Floyd Rose tremolo. But yeah, those are my main guitars, Gibson and a Jackson. And as an amplifier, I have an Engel amplifier, German, I believe, which is absolutely awesome for thrash metal. Tube amplifier. So that's and with pedals and effects for guitar, it's the less the better.
I see.
So yeah, I've got a tuner, and that's it. I don't have any effects on my guitar.
So less is more, as they say. I got you.
Less is more. Yeah, the only effect you need is the on button.
There you go.
And the distortion.
Right. And what kind of bass do you play?
Wow, I don't even know.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, I started to play bass now in a Type O Negative tribute. Our first bass player from Suicide Attack, we went on without him, and well, he was having some issues, and he left his two bass guitars in the rehearsal space, and I called him up numerous times, sent him mails, sent him messages like pick up your bass, and it's like 5 years down the line, and he still hasn't picked up his bass guitar. So I decided, okay, well, then he won't be bothered if I play on it. So yeah, I believe it's an Ibanez.
There you go.
Bass.
Right.
Yeah. So down tuned to B for the Type O Negative sound with lots of distortion and chorus on it. Yeah.
It sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is. It's something new, so it's exciting.
I wish you the best with that. Like I said, sometimes in interviews that I've had in the past, when there's a band member in a regular band, and he has a side project that's a tribute band, the stories I get told is they're making good money with the tribute bands, but they're not making anything with the main band. So maybe that's a way for you to, I mean, maybe not break out of the underground, but maybe make a living, doing the music. But what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do for your livelihood, though? How do you make money?
How do I make money? Well, yeah, I work in Rotterdam, and I work at a company called Coolblue. It's an electronics shop, a web shop, mostly, but they also have stores, and they sell electronics, so TVs and radios, you name it.
That's cool.
Dryers, that kind of stuff. And I work at customer service, and I'm a team leader there. So I'm responsible for a group of people who are on the telephone helping the customers. Yeah.
It's a very important job.
Yeah, it's a fun company. So it's quite a new company in the Netherlands. They're doing well. So yeah, I enjoy my job. So that's cool.
That's a good thing. I'm glad that's working out for you. And Frans, I want to thank you for spending time with us on Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio tonight. I'm very thankful that we got to learn more about what led to Suicide Attack's breakup and everything leading up to it, and hearing your story in a rather positive way. I must say, it could have been a very depressing interview, but it really wasn't. It was a very positive interview, and I appreciate that you took the time to have this done, because you could have very well said, because I've had bands that I was expecting to interview, and I just got their music, and they tell me, "Nah, you have to wait for my next band because we split up, and I'm very depressed right now, so we can't do the interview." And I'm like, "Oh, that sucks." But at least you were open-minded enough to say, "Well, if you still want to do the interview, we can." I'm like, "Well, you know what? Let's do it because I think this deserves to be mentioned that other people could be aware of what happened to Suicide Attack, and also to know what they could look forward to." And I think that we've accomplished that. So when you have your solo music out there, definitely hit me up that we could share anything, whether it's gigs or music or videos, whatever it may be related to your new band or your new project, and we'll help support it because that's what we do here in the underground. We will have to help each other out by spreading the word, and that's what we love to do here at Metal Messiah Radio. So make sure you do that. Before we go, I want to make sure that if there's anything else that you'd like to say that we have not yet mentioned, and also if you would like to take the time to say anything to the Suicide Attack fans out there that have been following you. Maybe it's too little or too late, but I think that your words to them may be very important to them.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate the support that you're offering. Really do, and I speak for behalf of the rest of the band, I guess, that we really appreciate that. We worked hard on the record, and whatever happened that led to the ending of the band, we're still very proud of what we have accomplished with this record.
As you should be.
So,
It's a great
yeah.
effort.
So for us, it's cool that it's getting the attention that it deserves in our eyes. So it's awesome that you are playing our songs and enjoying it. And with this interview, well, I could have been depressed, but I'm proud that it's out, and I'm proud about the record, and I want to share it with everyone who has an interest in thrash metal because that's cool. That's why you play music, hoping that
Exactly.
someone else listens to it and likes it. And so this is a chance that more people hear this record and hopefully like it. And who knows what the future holds. But that's the most important thing for me now. Like, get some attention for this record. I want to thank you, Metal Messiah Radio, for the support you've been giving the last couple of weeks, because I'm noticing in the reactions on our Facebook and online that people find our band through your radio station. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for that.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for letting us know that. It's very important to us.
Cool. Yeah. Well, you deserved it. It's cool. It's awesome. Thanks.
That's what we do. Thank you so much. And Frans, I want to wish you a great 2020 and all the years to come. And I wish you the best of success. Whatever you decide to do, whether it's a combination of your tribute band or your solo band, if you get involved with a entirely different band, if you bring back Suicide Attack, whatever you decide to do, I want to wish you the best of whatever you do out there. And just know, as far as I'm concerned, just keep doing what you do, and we'll be back here to talk about whatever you're doing. Once again, when you have new music out there, you'll have a home here on Metal Meltdown. I guarantee you that.
That's so cool. Thank you very much. We'll keep in touch. I promise. I promise.
Me too. Definitely. You don't have to be afraid to communicate with me.
Cool.
Yeah, I won't bite you. So anything you have coming up that you need assistance in spreading the word on, feel free. You could hit me up. You could hit Metal Messiah Radio up. You could hit Brother Joker up. You could hit Brother Crusher up. Marcel. Cool. You're from the Netherlands. We have two or three DJs. If Hatch is still a DJ from the Netherlands as well. So you have brotherhood here at Metal Messiah Radio, and you have people that really admire your music. So it's a very good situation. So just keep in touch with us, and we'll support each other. Because in the underground, like I mentioned, you can't do it alone. We're all going to be in it together to help support you. Do not worry.
Yeah, you got to help each other.
Exactly.
And you're doing that. So thank you for that, Dave. No, I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. So let's go crank up some more Suicide Attack now, and let's crank it up loud.
Cool. Let's do that.